Welcome to the weather forecast on the CIA TV channel. Dear friends, in today's forecast, we're going to break down what you need to know about the weather that will affect the United States over the next 7 days. A very concerning storm system is developing across the United States, bringing catastrophic flooding to areas like Texas. It's going to bring an increased threat of severe weather over the next few days, as well as to the Great Plains, the Midwest, and the Ohio Valley. And a tropical storm could form in the next day or two near Florida and also near the Carolinas. Right now, we have a low pressure system centered back over Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. That's actually what's going to bring the threat of severe weather today to parts of the Great Plains with strong winds, hail, and a few possible tornadoes. But this storm system right here isn't what's causing the problems for Texas. Instead, it's the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry, which is in the Gulf Southwest and moving up into South Texas as a very weak tropical storm. And there's another major flood threat developing just west of Round Rock, Texas. In addition, we're also expecting more rain today, which could add even more problems for those in central Texas who have already been hit by major flooding. And then back to the southeast, we have a tropical depression just east of Florida as I'm writing this forecast. This could become a tropical storm at some point today. It's forecast to become a tropical storm as it moves north and eventually make landfall in South Carolina in the next 48 hours. We're talking about something that's really not expected to happen in central Texas. Yes, there are flood warnings, but I don't think anyone really expected this kind of flooding to happen. This is a catastrophic event in central Texas. We don't need more than 12 inches of rain in a very short period of time in central Texas. And to go along with that, the National Weather Service still has flood warnings in effect across parts of central Texas near Austin and San Antonio, and also near Round Rock, where flash flooding is still ongoing. We're expecting more rain today. Some scattered showers and storms could return to North Texas from the remnants of Barry. And keep an eye out for the possibility of heavier rain this afternoon across central Texas, where showers and storms may not move much. Sometimes they may be stationary, which means more severe and potentially catastrophic flooding is possible this afternoon and evening. But obviously, this is a huge concern because we've had catastrophic flooding near Kerrville and then just west of Round Rock in the last few hours. And in addition to the rain that we've already seen, here's an estimate of how much rain we could see over the next 24 hours. And we're still expecting a large area to see anywhere from 1 to 4 inches of rain from Dallas, Fort Worth, all the way down to San Antonio and Austin. There's a chance that there could be areas that could see as much as 6 to 10 inches of rain over the next 24 hours, so keep that in mind. But it's going to be mostly south of Abilene under the flash flood warning that's in effect right now. Now let's talk a little bit more about the severe weather potential for the next few days, starting today. We have a small risk of severe weather that's ongoing, stretching from Montana back into western Nebraska, and then a small threat that's also extending from Montana back into Texas, all the way into the Midwest. Where all the severe weather hazards today, including the risk of damaging winds, which could be very high at times in southeast Montana and western South Dakota, is an area where we could see damaging winds up to 70 to 80 miles per hour this afternoon and lasting into the early evening. Large hail is also a possibility even toward Denver, Colorado. And then there's the potential for 1 or 2 isolated tornadoes. That's going to be primarily in southeast Montana, northeastern Wyoming, and extreme western South Dakota. And then on Sunday, the severe weather threat will continue across the high plains and central plains, where we have a high risk of severe weather from southwest Nebraska back into western Kansas eastern Colorado, and southeast Wyoming. The marginal threat also includes the Texas Panhandle, where all the severe weather dangers are again in place, including potentially damaging winds of up to 70 to 85 miles per hour back into western Nebraska. Large to very large hail is also possible. Back in the northern plains, where we expect storms to move in around 3 to 4 p.m. this afternoon in Montana and Wyoming, the biggest concern with these storms will be damaging winds. But if any of the storms are a little more contained, we could see an isolated tornado threat develop here in southeast Montana. But overall, I think most of the threats today will be damaging winds, isolated hail, and possibly a brief tornado. Storms will continue into early Sunday morning across South Dakota, where localized flooding could become a concern there as well. Back in the Central Plains, we're expecting a few storms late this afternoon. Most of these will be hail and wind, not really expecting a tornado threat here east of the Rocky Mountains, but just generally be prepared for storms this afternoon. Some lightning is also possible. As we head into Sunday, I think we'll have a more real threat for severe weather here in the Central Plains. There could be a lot of thunderstorms Sunday afternoon, including a few forming in northern Nebraska in the early to mid-afternoon around 2, 3, 4, with strong winds, very large hail, and the potential for tornadoes. But I do think the main event is what's going to happen around 6, 8 in southwest Nebraska, northeast Colorado, and northwest Kansas, where we could have a couple of severe thunderstorms near the boundary, which could lead to the potential for large hail, very damaging winds, and possibly even a strong tornado in that area. But the tornado threat is very conditional. It's going to depend on the storm regime and also on whether any of these storms are close to the boundary. But I think a strong or even a large tornado could happen tomorrow. So that's definitely something that we're going to be watching very closely over the next 24 hours and be prepared for a potential live stream of this channel if things go in an undesirable direction. And then after 6 hours Sunday, we expect these storms to continue to produce large hail, damaging winds. Eventually they'll solidify into a line. So there's probably going to be a 2 to 3 hour window where we actually have isolated storms that are capable of producing tornadoes. And then eventually a line of storms will form and will likely dissipate sometime around 10 to 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And then on Monday, we're expecting more storms to move across the Rocky Mountains into the high plains, where we'll have strong winds that will produce hail and maybe even a few tornadoes. We are likely going to see a tropical storm within the next 12 hours or so. And then early Sunday morning, that storm is likely going to make landfall in South Carolina. There are tropical storm warnings in effect all along the Carolina coast. And then this storm will likely weaken as we head into Sunday afternoon and evening as a tropical depression. And I really think the biggest story with this tropical system is going to be the reverse flow along the coast and then the potential for flooding from the rain. I'm not really expecting anything catastrophic here, but at least 2 to 4 inches of rain is likely from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way down to Wilmington, and maybe even as far north as Norfolk, Virginia. This is a 1 to 3 day forecast, but I think there's a chance for at least some rainfall if you go back into Virginia. And then over the next couple of days, we're expecting a pattern of active weather to continue as we head into early next week. Severe weather will continue across the Great Plains on Monday and Tuesday, but then finally by Wednesday and Thursday, I think things are going to get a little more chaotic, a little more disorganized, not really looking at any organized severe weather events anywhere in the United States by the middle of next week. But finally, by the end of next week, we could start to see active weather again in the northern plains, the Midwest, and also back into the Ohio Valley, with severe weather possibly returning then, so we'll be watching. And then by the end of next week, high pressure could form again in the Great Plains, which could essentially act as a wall, which could keep the severe weather at bay for at least a day or two. That's also going to bring heat and dry weather to much of the country, so that's going to be something we're watching. But overall, the next 7 days still look pretty active. We're going to be talking about a lot of small-scale events that are going to be more localized, similar to what we saw in Texas with the flooding, and then severe weather over the next few days, which looks like it's going to be a little more localized as well. So stay on the weather. We will continuously update the storm situation in the next news. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on CIA TV channel.